Welcome back to Hardball. Well, former Vice President Dick Cheney has been far more visible out of office than he was in. And not all Republicans are pleased about that fact. Even Jay Leno asked former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice what she thought about Dick Cheney's criticisms of President Obama.
I know President Bush says he wants to remain silent and give Barack an opportunity. Vice President Cheney out there saying that Obama has made the U.S. less safe. We shouldn't be closing Guantanamo Bay, the interrogation method. What is your opinion?
Look, these are difficult questions and difficult issues. My view is we got to do it our way. We did our best. We did some things well, some things not so well. Now they get their chance. And I agree with the President. We owe them our loyalty and our silence.
Well, plus a group of congressional Republicans told a reporter for the Hill newspaper they'd rather Dick Cheney retreat to his undisclosed location rather silently. A Republican Congressman Wamp of Tennessee said, quote, "We should focus on the people that will lead us tomorrow, not the people who led us yesterday. With all due respect to former Vice President Cheney, he represents what's behind us, not what's ahead of us." U.S. Congressman Wamp is running for governor of Tennessee in 2010 and today announced his gubernatorial campaign staff. So you're on the road statewide.
All the time, and today I'm playing hardball.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I'm not going to be that tough on you. Let me ask you about Dick Cheney. He's a tough customer. It takes some nerve to stand up to him.
Well, I'm not standing up
to him. Well, yes, you are. You're saying he ought to go back in his box, basically.
No, I'm saying that it's time to look forward. I mean, we've got people
like... But he's
like...
yesterday.
We
We
have the voice and the face of the Republican Party, and unfortunately for him, it's not him. You know, we need their ideas, and we need their... their knowledge, just like Newt Gingrich gives us some good ideas. But we need to have Mike Pence and John Thune and Bobby Jindal and Sarah Palin and Wamp and John Kasich and others out there speaking for the Republican Party, because it is a party now we've hit bottom. We're grounded. We know what we stand for again. It got really confusing over the last 8 years. We need to leave that behind us and go forward on a solid platform of limited and effective government with a smile on our face, love in our heart. We're doing this for the right reasons. We love our country, but this is why we believe as we believe, and it's time for new faces, new leadership to lead our party, Chris.
But Dick Cheney was not exactly a fiscal conservative. He was part of this big spending administration. They didn't veto a single spending bill. They had vast international ambitions, certainly not conservative ambitions in the world. It was almost like Napoleon. We're going to go around the world democratizing it all. Do you think Dick Cheney's truly a traditional conservative, or is he some kind of new thing?
Well, that's why it's time to turn the page. It got really confusing, and it is time to turn the page for our party. So, frankly, we can't rewrite history. The historians are going to tell us what happened. We need to go out now with a positive spirit and a good, solid platform. You know, it is ironic that the administration didn't communicate very well. I mean, I remember mission accomplished. I remember a photograph from 30,000 feet looking down at Katrina. Those were bad communication efforts.
What did they signal?
Well, they signaled that they were out of touch and sometimes aloof and, frankly, miscommunicating things instead of communicating. We remember how important communication was when Ronald Reagan was either in trouble or establishing a new agenda. He was a very effective communicator. Clinton was a good communicator. But it's ironic to me that people are still making noise that weren't the greatest of communicators. We need to put our best communicators on the field to say why we believe as we believe so that we have a chance of winning and coming back.
Okay, I want to give Dick Cheney a chance to speak. Here he is on tape talking about the State of the Union.
Do you believe the President of the United States has made Americans less safe?
I do. I think those programs were absolutely essential to the success we enjoyed of being able to collect the intelligence that let us defeat all further attempts to launch attacks against the United States since 9/11. Now he's making some choices that, in my mind, will in fact raise the risk to the American people of another attack.
Now, the Vice President obviously showed up at the studio. That's always hard. Thank you for coming, by the way. The lazy way is to let them bring the camera crews to your house. He obviously wanted to make this statement. Let me ask you, you talked very tough here, very independently. Will that sell in Tennessee? Pretty conservative state that voted for John McCain. Can you talk like this when you run for governor?
They know that President Bush was my friend, and I got along just fine with Vice President Cheney. This is not about the personalities. This is about the future and of the heart and soul of our party.
Okay, let's put some pictures. You mentioned your own name. You mentioned some other names. Let's just imagine that I were, which I do every day with the producers, try to book guests.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get Governor Palin on. We're trying to get different people on this show.
Right.
Who would you like to see the news media promote by giving access like this over the next several years as the future of the Republican Party? Give me 2 or 3 names.
John Thune, John Ensign, Bob Corker from my home state, Mike Pence, Kevin McCarthy in the House, younger, smarter, real principled people who really represent the future of our party.
You never mentioned Rush Limbaugh.
He's not an elected leader, and that's really where we need to focus.
You never mentioned Michael Steele, the chairman of your party.
Well, they're having their own little spat.
Well, like I said, you want to edit media coverage, so we pick the good guys. But look at these guys. Look at them up there. These guys demand the podium, but they grab the bully pulpit by their both hands, these guys.
The people who have been in the arena and have been elected, you know, as Teddy Roosevelt said, are the ones that actually ought to be on camera talking about policy, not the people that get paid. Sometimes people make more money by saying outrageous things. If you're elected, you got to face the voters, and I know sometimes that gets forgotten here, but I think the elected leadership ought to speak for us. And frankly, when John Boehner and Mike Pence and Eric Cantor come up with a new platform, they ought to be able to articulate it without all the pundits telling us.
Well, let me tell you, one of the pundits is named President Barack Obama. I think he and the people around him, the smart people around him, and they're very smart, Rahm Emanuel, Axel, you know them all, have decided that they're going to anoint the opposition that they want to fight. They don't want to fight the names you mentioned, the more attractive names. They want to fight the big guy on radio, Rush Limbaugh. They want to fight Cheney from yesterday. They've almost become the news directors.
Right, Chris, I agree that this is intentional. It's by design, and they know that they're easy targets, and then they don't have to talk as much about policy because then it's about a personality. And it's easy to hit Rush because he's got money, and so the public can turn against him. But
what do you mean he's got money? Because he's known as a rich guy.
Well, that's the way that they want him portrayed, and therefore that's why they would raise him as the target. They always have to have the bad guy, because it was DeLay for a while, it was Gingrich for a while. Now they pick another one that's not even an elected leader.
Are you saying that we put Tom DeLay on this program every week we can because he's a bad guy? I put him on because he says exactly what his gut thinks. He talks exactly from his gut.
But when he was the whip or the leader, he was the bad guy. And they have to have a bad guy. And I think sometimes they go out and find one.
I think you're right. It's great to have you on. Good luck in your race for governor. Zach Wamp running for governor, announcing his staff as of today. Up next.